Hey all, welcome back to my channel. Hi everybody. In this video, we are going to see about an important concept. Top 10 Python libraries that is used for the concept of AI, data science and machine learning. So before getting into that topic, let me simply explain you what simply is a library in Python. Before that, let me ask you a question. Do you think that every machines are capable of doing every single thing? As a human being, I can walk, I can run, I can dance, I can sing, I can read, I can understand, I can do whatever I want to do, right? But do you think every machines are capable of doing all these things? TV is not capable of washing clothes, right? Washing machine is not capable of showing you any videos, right? Your laptop is not capable of cleaning any cloths, right? It's not capable of cleaning any vessels, right? So for every machines, they have its own purpose. But think about a humanoid robot. So we do not have any humanoid robot that does every task. Only very few tasks are done by the humanoid robots in today's life. But in future, if humanoid robots are capable of doing every single task that a human being can do, how it would be. So giving machines the ability to do the task based on what we inform them, that simply we could call it as library. In coding, let me make it even more easier. In coding, if I want some task need to be done, if that library is capable of doing that task, I'll be calling that library into my coding part. And whenever I want to do that task, I'll just call that name. I need to do this task, so I'm calling the name of that library, and that library will do the task and give me. So that simply is a library when it comes to coding. So library is a task doing, it's like a task doing person or part of coding. So let's get into the concept for the day. What are all the Python libraries that we could use for the technology of AI, data science and machine learning? The first important library is NumPy. But what is NumPy? As the name itself suggests, we do have pi here. Some people might have guessed it is Python. So what is num? It might be numbers. Yes, almost close to that. It is numerical Python. The meaning of NumPy is numerical Python, which means whenever I get data in the format of numbers, if you are a data scientist, ML engineer, AI engineer, most of the time you will be getting data in the form of tables. In that tables, you will be having so many numerical values, so many numbers. So for handling them and for transforming them into a meaningful number, you need a library, and that library is NumPy. So NumPy is simply a library which is used for handling numbers. It might be a matrices. It might be an array. An array is almost similar to a list. So that's how it will look like, but it is actually a collection of data which has similar data types. So that is how NumPy library in Python works. So the second Python library that's used for AI is, of course, it's Pandas. So now, just now I mentioned that as a data scientist or as an AI engineer, most of the time you will be receiving data in the format of table, right? So for handling the table data format, the one versatile library in Python that you could use is Pandas. What and all it is capable of? Let's see. So the first capability of Pandas is it is capable of understanding the data if it is in column wise, if it is in row wise. So generally we call that as structured data. If I have data in the format of text or in the format of table, it is called as structured data. So Pandas library is capable of understanding data that is in structured format. So in that table data, it might have numbers, it might have anything, right? So in that, if I have any missing values, which means if any cells are empty, in my Excel, if any of my cells are empty, I can handle that empty cell. I can remove it, or else what I can do is I can handle it. How I can handle it? In that particular column, I need to find that center of the data if it is a numerical column. So that process in technical terms, it is called a central tendency. We will see about that clearly in upcoming videos. So it might be mean, median or mode in simple terms. So mean, let me make it even more easier. It might be an average value. It might be the center value. It might be the repeated value. So by finding the center of the data, I can replace that empty cell in my whole data. So now my data, the structured data becomes even more structured. So do you think that data that you are going to get as a AI engineer or ML engineer, as a data scientist, it is going to be clean? No, of course it wouldn't be. Instead, if you are getting a business data, you might have the data now for 4 years. For the past 4 years, they might have collected the historical data and now you have it in hand. It is, of course, it wouldn't be clean, right? So it would be messy. Some columns might have empty cells. Some column might not even be there. Some columns in some rows, some values might be wrong. Some might be wrongly entered. Some misentries might be happening. So you need to figure that out. So that is why in project workflow in day 3, I think so. So in that video, I taught you that most of the AI engineers and data scientists will be spending most of their time in cleaning the data. So if efficiently handling and cleaning the data, the most powerful library that we use in AI using Python is Pandas library, specifically for table data. And the third and fourth library is almost similar. Matplotlib and Seaborn. Traditionally for years, Matplotlib and Seaborn library is used for converting my table data, the cleaned table data, into a chart or graph. Why do I need to convert my table data into a graph or chart? What is the need exactly? If I look into my table data, do you think that I can take any information which I could use for my business to improve the growth of the business? It is merely impossible, right? So for that, I have to understand the data, and for understanding and sharing the information that I took from my data, what I have to do is I have to convert my table data into a chart format or into a graph format. So let me just add a sign to this, like this, or like bar charts or some graph. Likewise, I'll be creating some visualizations. I could see my data as a visualization, as a chart. So let me make it in simple words. If I have 4 years of sales data for a particular business, what I'm doing is I'm doing yearly analysis. So I found out that each and every year, in the month of December, most of the people are buying this kind of particular product, and this kind of product is not being sold out, or I am having so much of stocks that I couldn't sell. What I can do is I can suggest my stakeholder in the previous month they could provide some discounts for the products that's not being properly sold, or they could improve the quality of the product, or they could directly approach and get review from the customers to improve the quality of the product. So that is how that every business is grow, but doing proper analysis. That powerful is data, and AI and data science is, of course, making use of that powerful data that you considered as a messy thing that you had in your computer and you deleted for years. That is the most powerful usage of data. And if you want to do that, you need to apply techniques like data science and AI. Data science is for finding information, taking information from data, and AI is for automating any task using that particular information. So this is how Matplotlib and Seaborn library from Python is being used for converting my table data or any form of data into a chart or graph so that I can get information from my data that could be applied in my particular business, or based on what data I got from my stakeholders or from my clients. I will suggest them what insights I got. So based on this, you could make some changes in this business. So for that purpose, I need this visual representation of my data. So the next library, what I'm going to use, what it might be. So the ones who have idea about data science and AI could guess. Yes, some people might have guessed it. It's of course Scikit-learn. So this name is quite confusing, right? Why it is actually a library and what is the use of it? I told Pandas is a library which is used for handling table data. In table I might have numerical values and most of the time I will be having number values. That only will be used for analyzing my data. Maybe my stock market analysis, gold price data analysis, so my US market data analysis, India market data analysis. So the most of the data would be in the format of numbers, right? So to handle the numbers, what I have to use is I have to use some statistics and mathematical concepts. So for using that statistical concepts, I need not use any formulas. I can just use one line of coding to apply the statistical methods. Before data scientists were working, we had a role called statisticians. So those people were doing the work of data scientists that they are doing in current days. So what they'll do is they'll be using so many formulas to find insight from data. They'll be suggesting the stakeholders and business owners to take this kind of decisions. They'll be suggesting some ideas and all. So for that, they invested so much of time. But now, when that statistical concepts are converted into coding, into a library like this, simplified into a package called Scikit-learn. So every statistical concepts that you are going to use is inside this particular Python library, Scikit-learn. So the sixth and seventh library is almost similar. It is TensorFlow and Keras. I might have told in some videos, generally in data we do have two different types. One is structured data and one is unstructured data. In structured data we'll be having text or my table data. In unstructured data we'll be having images, video, audio and some other kind similar to that. So when specifically handling unstructured data, specifically for image data, what I have to do is I need to make my AI model or machine learning model to understand what this image is, how it is possible. Do you ever thought that do you ever had a question in mind how my Google Lens is understanding this image? If I upload any images of any products, it is understanding and it is giving you some suggestions, right? Similar products. How it is happening? It is understanding the pattern that is hidden inside every images. Every images are converted into small pixels. And those pixels that my AI model could easily understand. So that process is actually done by TensorFlow and Keras library in Python. So these libraries has the capacity to understand the patterns in my images, videos and audio. So not audio, specifically in image and video. In these two unstructured data, these two libraries are capable of understanding the hidden patterns. Hidden patterns in the sense, how this image is working. If I upload any images of particular products, how the structure is working on the first part, second part. So image will be converted into many parts. So that is how they will divide and they will understand. So that's how this TensorFlow and Keras library specifically in Python works. It's used for understanding unstructured data, specifically for image and video data. And the eighth library. So similar to how you guessed Scikit-learn, try to guess what it would be. Okay, let me tell you, it's PyTorch. So these two libraries are specifically used as similar to TensorFlow and Keras, and it is used for understanding the unstructured data. So what is the difference between TensorFlow, Keras and PyTorch OpenCV then? It is used when I collect live data. Do you ever thought that you ever had a question how robots understand comments that they receive from human beings? Do you ever seen any humanoid robots that does everything that human being is capable of doing? No, right? We do have humanoid robots. We do have humanoid robots which does a particular task, even though they look like human beings, right? But if I could make my robot to see this whole world, how it is possible? How it is understanding what is happening right now? based on live data collection. Do you think in the place of eyes that every robots have, I mean humanoid robots, do you think they do have real eyes as similar to human beings? No, they do not have eyes. Instead, they just have live data collecting camera or object detection sensor or image collection sensor. So they do the purpose of collecting live data as images or videos. So they collect data in that format. After that, they will be sending that to the memory. And inside a memory, a programming is written using this kind of libraries called PyTorch and OpenCV. So if I collect live data, which is in the format of image or video, these Python libraries are capable of understanding it, and based on what they understood, they have the capacity to make decisions out of that. That important is these two libraries if you are into computer vision based projects. Computer vision is simply a technology. If to any machines you are giving the ability to see. How it is seeing? Not with the eyes, of course, with the cameras, sensors. It might be image collection sensor, object detection sensor, likewise. Next, finally, the library. The 10th important library that is used for AI using Python is XGBoost. We have seen Pandas, NumPy, which is capable of handling table data, right? Specifically, if I am handling numerical data, that is live data, and that live data is huge, it's not a small amount of data. If I need a library that is capable of handling that huge data, that is called as XGBoost library. This is specifically used for handling my live data, which is in the format of table, and it is also a numerical data. So if I want to make decisions each and every day based on my sales data, which is happening on daily basis, then what I can do is I can simply use my XGBoost library in my coding to make decisions out of this data, make information out of my data that I'm collecting in live, which is completely big. So not every libraries in Python is used for handling big data, but this is a powerful library which is capable of handling big data, which is specifically a numerical data. And for this video, we have a bonus step. So the 11th important Python library that is used for AI is MLflow. So in future, this could be used in all this process. How it is possible? MLflow is generally a library which is used for streamlining the process of machine learning whole workflow. In a particular video, we have seen a project workflow, right? So to maintain all the project workflow and to create interactive visualizations, which I created with Matplotlib and Seaborn, for all that purpose, I can use a library called MLflow. If I mention about this particular library in this video, it is not enough. Of course, I'll be creating a separate video in upcoming videos, upcoming future days and future sessions. But apart from that, task for the day is go and search for what is MLflow, what is the use, what and all we have as applications. But for now, we'll meet you in next video.